everyone. You're tuning into Latify, an MMU SIG Law podcast. This podcast is brought to you by Multimedia University's Special Interest Group Mooting.
Once again, thank you for tuning into Latify. My name is Surekha.
And my name is Jay. We will be your hosts over the course of this episode. Today, we will be discussing the world of mooting with established mooters Jeyaganesh and Xin Yu. So I just want to begin by saying this is actually our very first episode, and both of you are our very first guests. So how do you feel about that?
Well, first of all, thank you very much for calling the both of us. We're very happy to be a part of this and happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Thank you. It's an honor to have you all here with us today. So, Xin Yu, how do you feel?
Thank you for inviting us to this podcast. So we are glad to share to everyone about our mooting experiences.
We are so grateful to be here and to speak to the both of you today. And I have to ask, Jaya, is your beard a strategy to intimidate your opponents?
No, not at all. I tried shaving it off, but my trainers always tell me to grow it back up because they say I look more like a lawyer with the beard without the beard.
Yeah,
So
I agree.
To intimidate your opponents.
I don't think it's intimidating at all.
Okay. Also, I have to ask, considering how busy the two of you are with classes and mooting, do any of you have time for a relationship? Because I can't imagine juggling all of those things.
Sorry, can you repeat? Because it's raining over here. I couldn't quite catch you.
I asked if you were in a relationship because I can't imagine having to juggle those three things.
You mean with a relationship? Well, it really depends on the partner and how understanding that person is. If that person is understanding, is able to understand the fact that you have other commitments as well, I'm sure that you can maintain a relationship despite this lifestyle. Yeah.
Okay, that's true. So, Xin Yu, do you have a boyfriend or?
This is a very weird question, I would say. But I'm not in a relationship so far. So, I'm just struggling and juggling with my own education and mooting. So, but I believe that when people are in a relationship, I also believe their own partners are supporting them emotionally. So apparently it wasn't a bad thing at all anyway.
Yeah, I agree with you.
And as we just said earlier, and the both of us are foundation students, and we were just very recently introduced to mooting by a couple of our seniors, and we actually have been thinking about competing. So do the both of you have any advice to sort of get over that fear and that intimidation, or is that just kind of stay with you?
Just something.
I would say that nervousness is going to be there no matter at which stage of mooting you are in. You could be a beginner, you could be a veteran, you could have multiple years of experience, but it's still going to be there. I would say that for a beginner, you should put yourself out there and compete as much as you can, and don't expect results quickly. Expect failure in the beginning, a lot of failure, and the most important thing is not winning straight away. The most important thing is persistence and going at it again and again, despite the fact that you win or you lose. I think that would be the best advice that anyone could give you right now.
And Xin Yu?
I do echo with Jaya. Basically, yes, persistence. And the most important thing, I know for beginners, you tend to be more fearful about joining. You're not too sure whether you should join because you don't feel confident about it. But yes, as a beginner, of course, everyone starts from zero. Even Jaya and I, we used to be beginners as well. I would say I'm still learning right now, so not much a difference. Just put yourself out there, just join the competitions.
Yeah.
I do want to ask that for baby mooters, I think NAMCO is the most popular competition for baby mooters to join, but it actually got cancelled. In the NAMCO taking place in November actually got cancelled this year. So do you guys have any suggestions for other competitions for baby mooters specifically?
You mean novice mooters, is it? First time mooters?
Yeah, first time.
I wouldn't suggest a specific competition just for novice mooters because my first moot competition was Law Asia, one of the biggest moot competitions in Malaysia. I went straight into that and it was a disaster in every way. But the thing is, that first moot really prepared me in so many ways to subsequent moots. So it doesn't really matter what moot competition it is. Just take it seriously, work hard. It doesn't matter whether you win or lose. You will still learn a lot of things. So if you want suggestions as to what moot competition you should go for Law Asia. I think you guys might have Samco for this year as well. Xin Yu and I went for Samco last year. You guys can try that Samco. Samco would be around, I think, June or July, this year. So Law Asia, Samco, around March, I think, or maybe April, there will be previous. So there are a lot of moot competitions, and I'm sure that's, I'm sure the organizing team would inform you guys about it. So don't wait for novice or beginner level moot competitions. It doesn't matter if it's really, really high level moot. You're still going to learn a lot of things. So just go for it. It doesn't matter.
Do you mind if I ask? Sorry, Jaya, do you mind if I ask what the disaster was?
Oh, okay. So since it was my first moot competition, I wasn't mentally prepared for the questions that are about to come. So the way moot competitions work is that it is less about your submission and more about answering questions. Your marks come from answering questions, not from actually talking what's in your script. So I didn't actually realize that in the beginning. So I prioritized just talking through what I wanted to talk about instead of addressing what the judges were asking about. So that was one of the biggest lessons that I learned from my first disaster, which was Law Asia. And that really set me up for all the subsequent moves. So yeah, like I said early on, failure is just a step towards success. So, don't worry about it.
Yeah, I think we all struggled with our first workshop and the second.
Xin Yu,
we did the workshop very recently, last year around December, I think.
Yeah, that was our workshop, and we had one this year throughout the whole month of January. We were given a personal trainer to help 8 of us in a group, and we had to go against each other. And actually, Jay was my partner. She's my mooting partner.
Okay.
Yeah. I think you're familiar with Aaron. He's the one who trained us.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Aaron, yeah. He's one of the members that organize everything for my moot.
Xin Yu, do you have any suggestions maybe for competitions or?
Okay. Other than NAMCO, right? I know it's quite popular for novice mooters, but I don't really start out with NAMCO as well. So my very first competition is in KL Bar Imut together with Jaya and Ong Wei Ying here. So apparently that was my first time. I would say that was quite a disaster as well. So apparently you don't have to go with a novice competition just to learn something. You can actually learn more when you go to other kinds of competitions. So if it's cancelled out, don't be really upset. There are also other opportunities out there. So you just venture out into it and just go and experience all the different competitions they have here.
I think that the reason Jay and I are kind of intimidated by joining these competitions is because, we're just scared of embarrassing ourselves. And it's just that basically, it's like a mental block.
The thing is in this line of work, if you end up becoming a lawyer or even as a mooter, part of the job description is even if you're caught, in a tough situation, or if you're pushed against the wall, so to speak, your skill really comes down to how little you show your nervousness. Because you could be caught in a tough situation and you might be cornered, but then if you don't show it, you might actually win the argument in the first place. Because to an extent, I'm not saying that it's going to save you forever, but to an extent, it's all about covering up your mistakes. Very experienced lawyers do it too. Beginners do it too. So in the end of the day, just don't show it. Just keep a poker face and you'll be all right. If no one knows you made a mistake, you didn't make a mistake. It doesn't exist.
Thank you. I think that's very good advice. Yeah.
And before moving on, let me actually briefly introduce one of our guests today. Xin Yu has actually competed in multiple mooting competitions till date, which include the KL Bar Emoot Court Competition 2020, where she was the first runner-up. She was an oralist for the 5th Virtual AIAC Pre-Moot 2021 for the Willem C. International Commercial Arbitration Moot. And she was also the second best oralist for the Sports Arbitration Mooting Competition 2021.
So, what is mooting and why is it so important for law students to join mooting as early as possible? As law students ourselves, we often have these questions as the mooting world seems terrifying to navigate. But with Jaya and Xin Yu joining us today, we hope that they can have us look at mooting in a different light as well as letting us in on their own personal experiences. So, to start off easy, in very simple terms, can you tell me what mooting is and how it works in your own words, Xin Yu?
Mooting is basically just how what you see in courts setting. So basically, there's plaintiff and the defendant, or if other way around, it's called appellant and the respondent. So basically, both sides of the party gets 20 minutes to submit their presentation to convince the court why their case should win. So that's what mooting is.
Okay, thank you. And Jaya, what is mooting in your own words?
Mooting is just like what Sinu said just now. You trying to convince a bunch of people that you're right, and you trying to convince that your opponents are wrong. Like, it all comes down to how persuasive you are. So it's just about convincing people.
Yeah, I think the facts are important, but not as important as your skills when it comes to persuading someone into believing something.
Yes, it's very important actually.
And Xin Yu, since you and Jaya have been partners for multiple moot competitions, how is it like working with each other? Is it always smooth sailing between you guys, or can there be misunderstandings at times?
Yeah, we never had a problem. I will tell her what we need to do. We'll discuss through it. We have a plan, and that's about it. Just move on to the competition. We do pretty well in competition, as you may have noticed.
Yeah.
I can say it's sort of a trust between us, whereby I trust that he will do his part, and perhaps maybe if he trusts me, that I will do my part. So apparently, if I'm lost a bit because I'm the junior here, so I would just ask for his advice, how he thinks of my issues.
Yeah, I think that chemistry is very important, especially when you're going to be working together with each other. Yeah. So earlier you guys said that y'all joined Samko together, right? I heard that y'all went against the University of Gujarat and they're quite intimidating. So are they actually as intimidating as they seem?
No, they weren't intimidating, but they were very competent opponents. They were very well versed with the facts and the law. They knew what they were talking about. And I would say that we were very evenly matched because in the general rounds, before we moved on to the finals, Sinu and I were at the top of the leaderboard. But then when it comes to the finals, they managed to get the better of us. I would say that we are quite evenly matched. In that regard, I have a lot of respect for them because, like for every point that me and Sinu raised, they managed to counter-argue. And for every point that they raised, we counter-argued just as well. I admire them and their efforts.
About that, I would say that like they have a really good language in command. Like the way they talk about certain words, they use it very. It was very persuasive. In the terms like when you listen to it, you will feel like, yes, that's how it goes. So that's one thing I definitely admire about them. Like I hope I can improve more on that as well.
Okay. Sinu, I actually have a question regarding that. Do you think your command of English plays a very vital role when it comes to mooting?
I would say it wasn't my first language tongue. Like basically I speak in Chinese. So everything I have to say in English, I have to translate first in my brain before I say it out. So it was quite a bit challenge for me in a mooting setting. But so far, with practice and experiences, I get through it.
Yeah. And also congratulations to the two of you.
Yes.
Thank you. UM didn't actually compete in Samko, so it was just us and the university from India. I went up against UM in Law Asia, and that's about it.
Was it anything similar to going against Gujarat? Were they?
Oh yeah, definitely. I would say that out of all the moot competitions that I went for, the one from India, and if I remember correctly, the one from Spain for previous, they were all very good.
Yeah.
Jaya, I've actually been let in on a little secret that you're actually a cat guy. Do you have any pets yourself, or just any
Yeah.
pets?
I have 3 cats.
Wow.
I've had them for about 2 years now. They're quite old.
What are their names?
Oh, I have very simple names for my cat. I call the first one Mr. Cat 1, and the second one Mr. Cat 2, and the third one Mr. Cat 3.
Oh my god.
And Xin Yu, what about you? Do you have any pets?
Yes, I have a dog. Her name is Honey.
Oh, I
that's-
absolutely love dogs. I'm more of a dog person, I think, because I'm allergic to cats. Yeah.
I'm both dogs and cats. Yes.
I'm in the middle as well, dogs and cats.
That's true.
So our second guest for today, Jaya, has also competed in multiple moot competitions himself, namely the National Mock Trial Competition, where he was the best counsel for 3 rounds and the best overall performer for round 1 and 2. He was the best overall oralist for the Sports Arbitration Competition, and he was the first runner-up in the KL Bar E-Moot Court Competition 2020. So do the both of you remember exactly how you first got introduced into mooting? Was it by seniors or...
For me, someone very close to me encouraged me to try it. So at that point in time, I had no intention of mooting because, it took, like you said, very early on when we started just now, it was very intimidating, and I didn't really know if I liked this or not, because you have to understand that we spend most of our time in class, in lectures, in tutorials. We're doing law all the time. I didn't really think that I would enjoy doing this as a hobby as well. So I was very reluctant to get into it. But then this person really persuaded me into trying it. So the first one was Law Asia. I lost, and then the person kept encouraging me, telling me to try again, which I did. Well, here I am.
And Xin Yu, what about you?
I first came to know about mooting was when I was in my first year. I get the chance to look at our senior moot physically in the moot in MMU campus. So that's the second year compulsory subject. So at that point of time, I was like really surprised how bad the situation is. Yeah, the judges are really, really, I don't know how to describe that. It was really straight to a point that they can just tell you straight to the face, I am not convinced. And then you'll be like standing there as a counsel. So that's what our seniors, like, apparently they get through it professionally. And as a kid, first year kid, I was like, wow, is this what I have to go through as well next year? So that's how I entered into competitions to expose myself first.
That's actually very good. I think I remember Jay and I also getting shredded by Wei Ying and Aaron, and they actually admitted to it, saying that they purposely asked the two of us more questions. And I think that was the most nervous and scared I've been in my entire life. But thank God it was online.
Yeah. And Surekha, actually, in our most recent workshop, she actually turned off her camera after we were done and started like bawling her eyes out. Really funny.
That was only because I was scared that I messed it up for Jay, and I didn't want to do that. I was like, oh, if it's me, it's fine. But because I had a partner, that just made things worse in that sense. But yeah.
I want to ask, what's the best way to present your submission? Is it more towards assertive or aggressive? Because I remember in our workshops, we sort of started getting, like, the respondents and the claimants started getting kind of aggressive with each other, and then they were like, okay, you can't get aggressive with each other. Jaya?
Yeah, definitely. You absolutely cannot get aggressive and lose your temper in competition, because you will not win if you get aggressive. You should always prioritize convincing people in a very gentle, calm way, because that shows that you know what you're talking about. If you get aggressive, it shows that you don't know what you're talking about. If you want to convince someone, you take it very nice, very slow. You talk to them like how you talk to your girlfriend or your boyfriend. Like, go very nice and slow. You talk to them very gently. Don't shout at them. If they ask you any questions, if they say they're not convinced with something, try to ease them into it. Don't rush things. The slower and the more gentle you are, the better the chances to convince.
I think that's actually very good advice, because sometimes you get just so frustrated when they keep saying they don't understand it, and I think we tend to get emotional, so that always interferes sometimes.
Yeah.
So I would like to ask the both of you, which was the most memorable competition you guys have joined and why?
I would say for me, the very recent mock trial competitions. So thus far, we have had 3 rounds of mock trial competitions. We are currently going to finals, which will be in next month around 23rd or 24th in the Palace of Justice. So the reason why this is the most memorable moot competition for me is this is probably the only moot competition that I've worked this hard for, because all the previous moot competitions, I'm not saying that they weren't hard and I didn't work hard for it, but the amount of effort that we had to put through for this specific moot competition is just monumental. Almost every day training right up until 2, 3 a.m., almost every day. And we have to do so much work. We have to train so hard on a lot of different issues. The subject matter of the moot for previous moot competitions, for other moot competitions, were things that I'm familiar with, contractual disputes, stuff like that. It's pretty simple, straightforward stuff. But for the mock trial competition, it's very different. You have to learn about things that are not related to the law. For example, for this round, the final round, me and my team, we have to go through and research about how highways are built on the, highways like Plus Highway, how do they build it? How do you cut slopes on a mountain to build highways? All of these things are, stuff related to engineering, stuff related to construction industry. It is not at all related to law at all. But in this specific competition, you have to do all of this research, because this mock trial competition is not at all the same as all previous competitions, because for this competition, you have to do something called cross-examination and re-examination of witnesses. When you're cross-examining, re-examining witnesses, you need to know all of these things that are not even related to the law. So this was probably the hardest journey in my mooting career. That's why it's very, very memorable.
Yeah.
Okay, as for me, I would say it's not Samko. It's because, first of all, it's like I didn't intend to join that competition, and then Cheya convinced me to go. So apparently, I told him I'm not really like interested in sports, so I don't find it like something that I can enjoy. But yeah, I just go along with it. Like, why don't I just give it a try? So yeah, I think the most significant thing about Samko is like getting second best oralist. It was because like my whole mooting journey with Jaya, because Jaya is just so good to a point that I feel like I'm dragging him, because we are partners. And as a co-counselor, I shouldn't be dragging his marks down. So my whole life, I believe that I am the dragger. And even in trainings, right, all the seniors would give him positive comments and I get all the negative comments. So apparently for me, I feel like, am I dragging him down? So I have to push myself harder so that I can like at least help Jaya's marks a bit. This is like team marks. So yeah, after that achievement, being the second best oralist, I have confirmed that okay lah, at least I got contribute lah. So I'm calling myself a contributor now, not a dragger.
Just to be clear, she's very competent at what she does. She's very good at what she does also. And if she wasn't there, we wouldn't have made it that far. Like, don't let what she says get to you. She's very good at what she does.
And so, for just to end this on a high note, I just want to ask, I'm assuming after like a long day or a long week, whatever, you guys probably watch maybe shows or TV or movies to unwind. Do you guys watch anything law related, or do you just want to like break away from that completely and watch other stuff?
Nothing law related at all. If I'm watching anything at all to unwind, it's just going to be horror movies or something like that, of that nature. Oh, you're a horror movie fan as well.
I've never heard of someone watching a horror movie to unwind. That just gets me more stressed.
No.
What about you, Zinio? What do you watch to unwind?
I don't really watch movies actually, but if I have to watch anything, I watch mood competitions from other countries. No, it's just for practice. I watch Harvard, and I don't know, Chicago, Singapore as well. Like I'm just learning, so it's not really like watching TV. It's just watching to learn mooting.
It's a very good strategy to improve, I think.
Yes. And that's a wrap on our first episode of Lotify. Thank you, Jaya and Xin Yu, for your invaluable time and advice. Follow our Spotify and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more updates. And be sure to check out our upcoming episodes where we dive into more compelling matters with other distinguished guests. Till next time, stay safe, everyone.